And here we are. We're back. It's you and me, Nate. We're back. The vac's back.
Yeah, I'm super prepared.
Oh, yes. And here we go. Because I was thinking before we started recording today that it's going to be a big episode. I just had a feeling it was going to be a big episode. Yeah. No cricket talk.
Yeah, well, we need to make hay whilst the sun shines because we're about to go into the nervous 90s.
So you want to get all superstitious about the 90s, huh? Will we make it to 100? I reckon we will.
I think we will.
We can't really get out. You know, no one's looking for our wicket, so to speak. No one's looking to take our wicket.
It's up to us, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's purely our destiny is in our own control.
We're just putting singles on the board. We just go up, bang, little shot, single, safe.
Yeah, we don't try and hit sixes.
No,
just
never
one
done that.
single a week is plenty.
You've toyed with the concept of doing a 56-hour long podcast or whatever the fuck the record was. You've toyed with that. That is like that's hitting 50, you know, in one hit. You've hit 50 off one ball.
I've flirted with it.
It's outrageous. Yeah. It's a terrible idea.
It's an easy world record. It's an easy one.
Have you ever tried to just, I know I've done this before, but have you ever just tried to stay awake for 50 hours? What's the record? What's your current record for just staying up?
Yeah, look, it's not 48 hours. It's nowhere near it.
Nowhere near it, right?
Nowhere near it. It's
I reckon my max is
36?
maybe 36. That's what I was going to say. That's where I've hit my limit as well, where I've decided I could have stayed up. The choice was there. I could have stayed up, gone 37, gone for 38, but I didn't. Packed it in, went for a little nap. Why? Fucking tired. That's what you'll be after 50 hours of talking, man. You'll be fucked. I think you've completely underestimated how hard it is. I'd love to do it, to be there on the journey, but you might have to do this one without me.
What about a little bit of controlled torture to keep you awake?
See, that might be what's required.
I think
but when that's required, it's probably not a great idea, is it? If you need a bit of torture.
Well, this isn't torture, but my wife did Herdy's Frontyard on Friday.
That's the one where you have to run. Yep.
What do you remember about it? What's the go?
Is it every hour you have to complete a certain amount of kilometers and then the rest of the time you get off? Or is it less time? Is it 30 minutes? I think it's an hour.
That's right. It's a 6.7 kilometre lap of Herdy's Lake. Herdsman Lake.
Just for the folks at home, how long would that take?
Well, an average person taking it easy does it in 45 minutes.
Yep.
Taking it, not really walking, but slow jog, like a very gentle jog. If you're going to take it easy, you'll do it in a pro does it in like a quicker run's more like 35 minutes, and a world record would be something like 20 minutes.
And they're gunning it.
So that's, 6 times 3. That'd be about right. 20 minutes, like an elite athlete.
Okay, cool. And how did she go?
She did 9 laps.
9 laps.
Not bad. So she started at 4 p.m. in the Arvo, 61 kilometres later. She finished at 1 a.m.
I said it when you did it last time. I was like, what a terrible way to do your Friday night. Like, what a terrible Friday night. Was it on Friday night? When was it?
It is Friday night, yeah.
It's a Friday night. Work is over. Feeling good. Let's go for a fucking run. Is that what?
Well, a lot of people take Friday off to prepare because you go down on Friday morning to get to a good spot to set up your tent.
Tent?
It's tent land. Yeah, you have a tent.
He's going to hang out. Yeah,
it's really fun. You have a supporter base. Like, it's great for me because I just go down there. All the runners head off. Another world record, by the way. They broke the world record from last year. So most number of competitors attending a backyard event.
So that's a world record. That's not an event record. That's a world record.
So last year, Herdy's Frontyard, and I mentioned this last year, but a backyard event is exactly what I said. It's between 6.5 and 6.7 kilometres on the hour every hour, and they normally do them in farms and things like that.
Yeah,
and that's why it's called backyard. But they brought this one into the city, and it's called Herdy's Frontyard. And that's one reason why I think they're getting good numbers for this one.
Stirring up a bit of controversy, I'm sure, for all the backyard enthusiasts.
Yes. Is it a backyard world record?
On the backyard, right. They're still going on about it, are they?
I haven't heard as much, but you went on about it, and it's a fair call. I haven't heard any dispute or anger amongst the backyard community.
It's a bloody riot. I'll tell you that.
This year they had over 400 competitors. Last year I think it was 320.
Smashing it every year.
Yeah.
And if this trend continues.
Although it was disappointing because they got to 33 laps. So this is maybe, 24 hours later. So we're talking Saturday night. And there was only 2 competitors left, which is actually a bit embarrassing for a backyard event because you have the world record number of competitors.
Right, and no one's putting up
numbers. But the last 2, because
if you had more people in the event, you're going to have more people who, proportionally don't give a shit as much as the other people. Proportionally.
And you'd think proportionally
you'd get more serious people as well.
Yeah,
yes, you would.
Because I remember turning up Sunday afternoon last year and there was 4 people running and they just had 3 people drop out. So they had 7 people at Sunday afternoon, whereas we're talking Saturday night, there was 2.
Wow.
But they went on for quite some time.
What are we putting this down to?
It was actually really hot on Saturday. I think that's what it was.
It's a pretty rough concept for a day, isn't it? Given that your Friday night, you just ran for 8 hours or something and didn't sleep and kept going, right? And then, you wake up Saturday, or I don't even know if you wake up, you're just still going Saturday. You're like, fuck, it's really hot, eh? How long has this got left? And it's like, man, that's completely up to you.
It is a mental game. And
Totally.
I think that's why they get good numbers. Someone was saying, because you don't have to do an ultra marathon, but a lot of people that want to do an ultra marathon turn up to this because it's all broken up into segments.
Yeah, it's a little trial as well. You give it a go, you see where your limits are. I also think it's good because like you could arrive with 15 minutes to spare on one lap and go, I think I've had a gutful. I think I'm done. But 10 minutes into the next lap, you're like, no, I can get this one out. I've still got time. I'll make it. I'll just go now. And you can have a crack and go for another lap.
Yeah, What I haven't, I've only done it once, but the wife's done it twice now. Really what you need to do is commit to keep doing the laps until you get cut off. So get cut off by if you don't make the start of the next lap.
You have to be there at the start.
That's the only rule. You have to be there at the start. And if you're not in the chute, the finish line is about 200 meters from the start line. And in between that, everyone sets up tents. And it's like they leave a big alleyway free for the athletes. And that song comes on with 5 minutes to go. And the siren goes at 2 minutes. And the siren goes at 1 minute. And everyone starts coming out of their little tents and funneling into the chute to start another lap. If you don't show up for that, you can run through. So you can get there at 59 minutes and just keep walking through tent land and pop out at the start and just keep going and not have a break if you want.
If you've timed it.
Yeah, what you haven't, the wife comes in at 9 laps.
Can you take like drinks with you in the field?
Yeah, but you have to take everything you take with you in the field, you have to bring back.
Chips. So if you wanted to spend an hour out there on the track and then just walk through like you were saying and continue, go to the next lap, you need supplies on you. You need supplies on you.
Yeah, because you're not going to be refueling. Otherwise, you're not. Normally what happens is you come back and refuel in that sort of little bit of time you've got off. But
did she enjoy it? Did she have a good time?
Yeah, she did. But she gets back. She comes in, 10 minutes left. And I'm like, you got one more in you? She's like, she's done. It's over. I was like, but you're not cut off. You've still got one. You haven't. You need to go until you get cut off. It's really hard to do that because you just feel mentally that you're done and you just call it.
It's so much. Did she have any goals that she wanted to kick?
Yeah, well, last year she did 8 laps, so she wanted to beat her goal, her effort from last year. But she's got Achilles tendonitis. She's had that for about 6 months. That she's now managing.
I've got 2 of them. Right.
Got 2 of them. So she's been managing that. The biggest run she did in training was 14 Ks. So she came in really underdone. But
you're the right person to have in her corner because you're constantly showing up to things underprepared and still managing to do it. So
precisely.
You're the man to be there for sure.
Yeah. Well, she's now got an actual running coach. So I think I've been fired.
You've been fired. But moral support, you're still a very much an important part of the team.
Critical
team.
And then, so I was telling this guy.
Actually, I saw a photo from the event. I saw your old man was there.
Oh, he was. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he came down. Yeah. Give her a bit of a calf rub. And she runs a run club. She's got a bit of a run club going on. And this bloke showed up. I don't know where he came from. spoke to him last week, and we're talking about this kind of running at nighttime situation that you have to do. This is one of the unusual things because you start at 4 p.m., you go into the night, and then you're battling your own circadian rhythm that wants to send you to bed.
Yeah.
That's quite challenging.
Let's battle. Let's
and
do
he
it.
started
How do you
talking,
beat that?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Because we'd need training for that if we were going to do a 56-hour podcast. You'd need to know how the fuck to get rid of your cicadas or whatever so that you don't fall asleep.
Precisely. The cicadas, problematic. And this guy was talking to me like he knew something about staying up late for long periods of time. And I was like, what do you know about? Because I was asking about running and I could tell he hadn't done a backyard event. So I was like, it's not an exercise thing. What's he know about this? And he's in the ADF, the Australian Defence Force. You can voluntarily undergo controlled torture so they can prepare you if you're going to be a prisoner of war.
Great.
Okay, so he stayed up for over 5 days.
Yeah.
And at any point, and so he told me this, and I didn't pry too much. I was like, that is wild. I was telling the wife, I was like, man, this is cool. And then he turned up again next week. And I was just like, bro, I've been, I paired up. I was like running along next to him because I want to talk to this guy. I was like,
bro,
so
funny.
Yeah,
this is so funny. This
will
be
get
one
out
of
of my
those
head.
things. Sorry to interrupt. This will be one of those things that if you left it more than, say, 3 or 4 weeks, say if you left it a year like what I did, one of our friends told me at a party, and I tell this story all the time. One of my friends told me at a party, and I'll tell you who it is for your benefit. It's Simo. Yeah. Told me that the first person to live forever is already alive, and I went, "Holy shit, man! You're one of the smartest people I know." I'm writing that down. I'm putting that in my fucking book. I'm putting that in the parts of my memory that I'm going to keep. I'm keeping that. Right.
Important
a year
parts,
later, spoke to him. Different party, same guy. I said, man, I think about what you said a lot. He said, what's that? I said, the whole thing about how the first person to live forever is already alive. And he said, did I say that? I said, yeah, man, I live by that shit. So if you left this a year, like I did with Simo, and you said to him, so about the staying up for 5 days thing, he's go, did I say that? Did I say staying up for 5 days? Fuck me. Pretty interesting.
It's funny you say that. Have you seen Ray Kurzweil is on? He's a futurist that writes a lot of books about future things. He's on.
It's so good, isn't it? It's so good. What a cool job being a futurist.
I think I'm a futurist.
Well, we all are in a little way, aren't we? Yeah,
yeah.
In a way, we're all predicting what's going to happen. It's just it's not my main job.
Humans are futurists.
It's not my main job.
It's part of our brain, isn't it? I think that's one of the reasons we're so fucked up, mentally.
But we're also so specialized that we can have people who can literally have a job where they just think.
All I do is think about things in the future.
What's he on about this time?
He confirmed what Simo said, basically.
Yeah.
He's 75.
Yep.
And he's doing a lot to maintain his health and sanity at the moment because he reckons in 5 years' time, we're going to be able to, for every year you live, you'll be able to get refunded a year through medicine, nutrition, all that stuff. I don't know. I don't know what else, which I thought 5 years is a short time frame. Very short time frame.
That is short. So are we talking similar? Are we talking we're going to live forever? Are we talking
that exactly? We're going to talk. We're going to live
Is it
forever.
about $8 million a year?
They haven't disclosed the cost yet. Yeah, it's going to be expensive.
Okay,
and it's probably only going to be. Yeah. It's probably only going to be for the rich and powerful.
Okay, because I heard something today that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Cryo freezing. We talked about it before in a very let's get to Mars, freeze people along the way. It's a better way to transport astronauts.
Perhaps the only way.
The other one, which is the classic, is you get frozen because you've got some sort of disease that they don't have a cure for. So you're going to get frozen. Yeah, that one. Well, people are doing this. People are getting the frozen treatment with the full knowledge that they don't have the tech to unfreeze them yet. We only got the tech to put you under, to lower your body temperature down to a point over a long period of time, over 6 hours, so that we don't shock your system. We put you to a nice little sleep. And if you don't wake up, hey, you don't wake up. you didn't really lose anything, did you? You were pretty wrecked anyway. These people who are cryo-freezing, they're going to wake up and they'll be going, what year is it? And they'll say, it's 2029. They go, 5 years? That's it? You've done it? What have you done? Oh, we're living forever now. 5 years, that's all.
They'll be like, what's changed? Like,
what
Donald Trump will still be president. Nothing would have changed. They'll be like, man, I wanted hoverboards. They'll be like, are the cars flying? Wait, no flying cars. We don't have flying cars, no hoverboards.
No hoverboards.
Everything's pretty much the same, but we're living forever now.
Exactly the same.
The computers are a little bit faster.
They are way better.
Internet's a bit faster.
The internet exists. The other thing is, I said, cryo-freezing, it's got to be like 8 million bash. Has to be like 10 million bash, 20 million bash. This guy's getting done with his wife. Maybe there's a package deal,
Couples cryo.
I think it was 120,000, which I assume is USD. I thought that's incredibly cheap just for rent.
Where are we going to store all these bodies?
They reckon. Well, they just pop them in a fridge, they just pop them in a.
Just piling them up.
Yeah, just chuck them in.
Just like a big meat fridge.
Yeah. And the regulation really needs to catch up as well. And no one's really thought about the moral implications.
We'll sort the regulations out later. Like there's all the problems. We just freeze them now. We'll sort the regs.
Do you foresee any problems with people freezing themselves?
Well, I think it's a good point about them being, they can worry about the tech to unfreeze themselves later. And we do that now because we're expelling all this carbon and stuff now.
Sure.
And we're just without the technology to fix it now. But knowing that we will figure it out. Like it's a big problem. We just continue to emit these.
The bigger the problem gets, the more likely it is that we'll have to fix it. So we need the problem to get bigger, unfortunately.
We need more frozen bodies. Once we have a couple mil frozen bodies. But no, if they're paying rent, actually, this is interesting. If they're paying rent.
Well, that's what I equated it to, because if it's 120 grand and there's no end date, it's cheap rent. That's what I was saying.
But there's an incentive to keep them frozen and keep them paying rent. So think about this. You've got 1 million people all paying $1 of rent a year. Someone's making $1 million on that. Yeah, if you decide to unfreeze them all, that person's getting zero rent now.
Unless it's the whole you buy your pod. Do you know what I mean? It's your pod. You've paid 120 grand, you get a pod. It's yours. It's your pod.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah.
We don't know. We can't unfreeze you. We don't even know. We don't even know how to complete this transaction yet. We have no idea. We're still fuddling around in the dark with this shit.
We should put the frozen bodies in orbit. Just stack them up. Just put them into orbit. They can just revolve around the Earth up there in space, just remaining frozen.
Bit cheaper to freeze up there. We don't really spend the energy to cool them down.
No electricity costs.
No costs.
Yeah.
But shouldn't we have free energy by then? Won't we discover the secrets of the pyramids before then and pop the power plant on?
Well, that's the other thing Ray Kurzweil said. In 10 years, we'll be completely powered by solar. Completely.
That's amazing.
And he says, Joe was like, what are they going to do with all the infrastructure now? Like what with all the nuclear power plants, coal power plants, what are we going to do now? He was just like, we'll have the tech. He said, what people don't take into account is the exponential growth of technology and advancement. And we're making exponential growth in solar, in the batteries, the battery technology and the solar cells themselves.
That ends though, right? Does that end?
Well, he also had a graph.
For example, right? We figured out nuclear power in, we've been building nuclear power plants for a long time. They're getting better and better and better, sure, right? But the tech that's behind it, I don't know if it's any,
well, if it's some massive at its core, it's the same principle, but I think there's a lot of tech. I think there's a lot of tech.
There has to be.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if they plateau or whether or not nuclear power is also
whether there's a bottleneck in the
exponentially.
Well, we're not at, I think as far as he's concerned, we're not at the bottleneck. I mean, the bottleneck ultimately is how much sun per square meter, how much energy, energy is physically there. Obviously, you could, theoretically, you could capture 100% of the energy, but obviously, with our technology, we'll be capturing about 1% or some fraction of the 100.
Yeah. And
then,
he would obviously be taking into account the fact that we'd need more energy in the future, potentially, like adding into the fact that our cities would get bigger, potentially, or maybe we wouldn't. Where's the futurist out there who's also taking into account this massive population decline which is set to occur? How is that going to factor into the development of technology?
Well,
the
living forever.
of
That's what I
land,
was
living
thinking.
Forever.
There's no population crash if we live forever. I think we could have made a huge mistake. I think we need to get back on we need some more COVID and other things of that nature to dampen this. We probably need to lower the population now whilst we still can. We've got a window now where we're not immortal.
If everyone who's going to live for the next 8 years lives forever, you know what I'm saying? I'm giving him a bit of leeway. Because it might take a bit of time for uptake. Let's say 10 years. If you've got 10 years left, you live forever. There's a lot of people who are in their older years who would say, like, I don't want to live forever. A lot of people don't want to live forever in general.
Yeah, and could you be depriving yourself of heaven? Could we? This is the other big mistake. Are we on track to the afterlife?
Mm-hmm. No, right? Mate. Stick around, because digital heaven will come first. Digital heaven is way more likely, way more likely than actual heaven, and
we can control digital heaven.
Yeah, we can, and in a way, because all I'm talking about there is like, and it'll sound really simple, and that's because it is. Zip the consciousness out of your brain. Put it in a zip file, chuck that into Matrix heaven. Bob's your father's brother. You're in Matrix heaven, and the best part is that you'll physically be dead. You will physically be dead. Your consciousness has been extracted, okay? And I assume it's copy-paste, not cut-paste with the consciousness. It's copy-paste, not cut-paste, okay? We're not cutting. We're not doing control X on the brain. We're doing a control C, which is a copy. You get both. You get to go to real heaven and you get to go to digi heaven. I don't know how that experience would work. But you are really hedging your bets there, if you like.
Yeah, but do you only experience one of those still? Do you have to pick one? I don't know if you can.
I think you'd experience both simultaneously.
Wow.
Or there's no time in heaven and it would get really confusing, but it would take you a little bit of time, even though you've got eternity to figure it out. And then once you figure it out, it's much easier to navigate. You can find all your favorite websites. And even if it is just shove your consciousness into the internet, it's fine.
Just jam it in with everyone else's. What happens if there's no borders to consciousness and there is? So we start uploading consciousness into the matrix.
Computers, yeah, sure.
And because there's no physical body that's keeping my consciousness with me and your consciousness with you, they just merge, and you just start having a collective consciousness. I guess that's the one consciousness that all the hippies are talking about, really.
Yeah, well, that's the idea, right? But in the lab,
how would it stay? Because it's not a unit of consciousness, is it? It's not just one.
No. So Control C is a copy, right? So they'll copy your brain into the computer that's just next to your bed in the hospital, right? And they'll say, "You feeling both of that at the same time?" And you're like, "Yeah, I am. I oddly feel like I'm in two places at once. This is a really strange sensation." Right, well, now you got to die. Okay.
And we're going to hook the computer up to the internet.
Because it is really hard to deal with being alive in two places at once. It is quite confusing. So there you go, gone. Digi heaven for that one, the Control C. So you're experiencing it. And then, boom, you get actual heaven. You're up the gate. You're up the stairs. Boom, straight in. By the way, I looked more at that Horatio Nelson painting. I found out who are all the characters in it. So I figured all that out. Yeah. So it is. It's not God up the top. Straight off the bat, it's not God. It's Jupiter.
It's
so similar concept. They're all Greek gods. But I didn't want to get too much into the Cryo talk. But that's something I did. I'm not going to call it homework because I just did it very quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Trying to find the painting again, but it's on the wiki, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on his wiki. I mean, we've done 3 straight episodes about Horatio Nelson now.
Yeah,
leave
him alone. Now I'm reading a book about naval. It's called Mutiny on the Bounty. So I'm into the British.
So now you've given up on World War II and you're going very much colonial times.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened. But it's early days in the book. But
okay. So I did
British
find
Admiralty.
it. I did find it. So it says, have you got the picture up?
Yeah.
Horatio Nelson one?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says, down the bottom, it says, Nelson stands, he is supported by Neptune. So Neptune's the Poseidon-y fella.
Yeah.
While fame holds a crown of stars as a symbol of immortality over Nelson's head. So that's fame on the left of Horatio Nelson. He's pointing at her boobs.
Yes. Is fame a Greek god or something? Who's fame?
Fame's a Greek god, I imagine.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, boobs out. Interesting.
Pretty standard for the time.
Yeah.
Holds a crown to symbolize immortality. A grieving Britannia holds out her arms. So a grieving Britannia, she's somewhere in there grieving it up. While Hercules, Mars, and Minerva and Jupiter look on. So the Romans, the Roman gods that I was talking about, the Roman soldiers that I was talking about, is actually Mars, the god of war, I think. And Hercules
he's got
is one of those
red
blokes.
Headdress on. Is that the one with the red mohawk?
Yeah. And then that must be Jupiter up the very back, looking very gaudy.
Okay, I'm not familiar with Jupiter being anything but a planet.
Okay, but he was a Greek god of the sky, thunder, and king of the gods. So he's your god.
God, okay.
In ancient Roman religion,
Roman religion, they all overlap, don't they?
They do.
It's hard to keep track of all these gods.
I read somewhere today that, I don't know who thinks this, but someone thinks this, that the Greek gods and the Roman gods all sort of are post-Atlantean civ gods. There's nothing to prove it. It's just an idea of where it came from. Obviously, Egypt as well is a big one. But again, Egypt could be taken from Atlantean ship for all we knew if it was even a real place. But it's fun.
It all overlaps. Yeah, I was looking into the Greek gods at one point. I was trying to get around them because I wanted to see where there is a big overlap between the Egyptian mythology and the Greek mythology, and I just wanted to kind of follow that through a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
But then I realized I don't know enough about Egypt and I don't know anything about Greece, and so it all became a little bit hard. But it is interesting, and I love the Greek gods. I think it's really cool. The story's great. It's a great story.
Well, they're there to teach morals. They're there in my opinion, they're there to sort of teach the way of the world, in a sense. And it's much easier for an ancient culture to say there's a god of thunder instead of explaining how thunder works. It's way easier to just go, there's a bloke, he's up there, he throws them. Has he got a beard? Yes, he does have a beard.
And if the public are looking to you for answers, you kind of have to deliver, don't you? If you're saying you're the authority that, we know all the shit, we know about God, we understand what's going on. Everyone goes, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
What was that?
That's Thunder God. Easy. Hey, speaking of public stuff, are you following any of this Kate Middleton stuff?
I've copped a whiff of it.
So this is royal stuff. We're talking royal stuff here.
I have copped a whiff of it. I thought you would be into this.
Well, into it.
I thought this would have got your attention.
I've got some thoughts on it. For sure. So what do you know about it first? Because I'll try and fill in some blanks and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
What do you know?
Okay, I saw the photo. I saw the Photoshop photo. Okay.
Great.
And I thought, I didn't think too much of it, to be honest. But then I didn't realize that she hasn't been seen in 2 months or something like that.
Since January, yeah, that's right.
Okay. And that's what piqued my interest. Luffingham's interest is piqued. My interest is piqued. I was like, who releases a photo?
Yes, on Mother's Day.
On Mother's Day. When there is questions about her whereabouts and you release a doctored photo, like, are you kidding me? It just seems like a poor choice.
Yes, I agree with that.
It's so easy to explain. So obviously that's going to the public is going to be asking questions, or someone's going to ask the question. Okay.
The worst part about it is this was meant to squash the questions. She was going to put the photo out. They go, oh, she's totally fine. And then we go, oh, great. Well, we can move on then. Now it's like people are more inclined to get conspiratorial about it and go, holy fucking shit. What is she hiding now? You know, there was people making the point, if it was her just saying, like her editing the photo because one of the kids was making a face or something, like I think most parents would struggle in the situation of having their kids like behave themselves in front of a camera for a bit, but they're the royal family. I'm pretty sure they can handle a camera. The dad's behind the camera. It's King Will. It's
That's
Prince
in
William,
the caption.
the king in waiting. What?
They put in the caption that this photo, when they released it, this photo was taken by
Prince William.
Prince William, which is quite a strange thing to do because who gives a fuck who's behind the camera? They obviously wanted to at least release that information, whether it was true or not, that they're all together.
It's a family photo.
It's a family photo. Look,
it's
here's the four of them. He's
just
behind. You can't see him, but even what you can see isn't actually there.
Right. So I got some thoughts on this. You did a pretty good summary. That was pretty good. I think that was right.
And I just want to make one comment. Is what I'm weird about is obviously this is stirring a lot of conjecture and whatnot. It's so easily solved by a public appearance or an unadulterated photo.
Yeah, it's not her job to get trotted out whenever they need to be like, we prove that she's all right, you fuckers. We want to know for some reason. And then it's like, all right, here she is. And she's just being trotted out.
Yeah, totally.
That's not her job.
Totally.
That's not her job.
I agree. But I mean, when it's almost like a.
What about the photo? Wouldn't you want to see the original photo without the doctoring? Wouldn't that be okay? Chuck that out there.
Yeah, that would be sensible, wouldn't it?
Yep.
That'd be sensible.
So here's what I know. They submitted the photo to the royal family's PR people, I guess, and they would have sent that to the newspapers and said, hey, we've got a photo for you, print it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And it was Mother's Day, so they went, great, this is perfect. They all ran it. And then someone saw the manipulations that are in the photo. And it's a bit of a general rule in the news biz that they don't put up doctored photos. There's a good reason for that.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, because they want to be, they're the news. They shouldn't be.
They have to be reliable. They have to be able to say this is what. They wouldn't put any doctored image. And now that you think about it, when's the last time you saw a doctored image on the news? Ever. Never.
Yeah, not that I know of. That's what really made me think this is a bit unusual.
The phrase they use when they do this is they say they kill the image.
Yes, a kill notice. I heard about this.
They put it out and all the media companies delete it off their servers. Doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But we got a problem because the story has become she released a manipulated photo. So people want to see the photo that was manipulated. So it's still out there on the news servers is what I'm saying because people want to see it. So it's still out there. So this kill notice thing seemed a bit
not effective.
Didn't really work at all.
No.
So I don't really understand that. But they did make that decision. They make that decision to say we're pulling it, right? And when I heard the original commentary around the image being doctored, they were making it out that it was super, super obvious, like super obviously faked, right? And they'll circle 4 points.
You have to, exactly. You have
the
to
only
go
one
into
that
it with
stood
a
out
bit
to
of
me,
fine-tooth.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but the only one that stood out to me as something that I picked up on straight away was the stairs. That's the easiest one. The stairs are misaligned down the bottom left. The stairs kind of like have this weird jaggedy edge on them, right? And that's an obvious where they've dragged the image over the top, trying to line it up, and they didn't do a good job. But I didn't think it was like terrible.
Or she didn't do a good job.
Well, yeah, she's been messing around with Photoshop. That's what she said. I don't know if William was like, you got to take the rap for me. I was using a tutorial and it sucked. You got to take this one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
no one can know that I'm really for Photoshop.
Photoshop. Yeah. So it's a real bummer, right? Because
the sleeve of the girl is the one that I think is relatively obvious. That's the only one. I didn't analyze this.
But the hair one, I didn't really get.
The zipper. If you really, really zoom in,
anyway, it doesn't matter
zipper,
whether or not it's a little bit doctored or a lot of bit doctored. It's doctored.
Yeah.
They have to get rid of it. They did it.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is that we've kind of lost sight of like, is she okay? Because at the end of the day, the people who are conspiratorially minded just want a fun story to follow. They just want to.
They're going to fill
get
that
involved.
vacuum.
They don't care.
Yeah, they're just going to make up something.
They actually
to fill
don't care
dark.
if she's okay or not. They don't care. Like if she's okay, and that's what I'm trying. I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. But there's some crazy, crazy conspiracies out there.
Well, obviously, some people are going to say that if there's no sign of life, some people are going to say that she's dead. If you go all the way, if you take it all the way, you say she's dead, which is obviously completely nuts. What I think about that is, I would be so worried if I was the royal family, because people do die in unfortunate situations. I was talking to you the other week about
Sure,
a
people
cousin
do die.
of someone I know that was walking in the middle of the night, bumped into her husband, fell over and died, hit her head and died. People can just die.
Yeah.
They had better fucking hope she doesn't die before she is seen publicly, or they are not going to be able to explain their way out of this, even if they've been telling the truth the whole time and they continue to tell the truth.
It's pretty wild.
You know what I mean? Like, they're in this window where
what are they doing though? Ringing her up and going, "Hey, just making sure that you're actually okay." And
no, I'm just saying they don't have to do anything.
It just wouldn't look good. It would be a bad.
It does not look good. It does not look good when there's all this.
At the end of the day, how funny is that's even a point? They're like, it's not a good look. She died. It's a very it's not about the look. Really.
No, to the point that there will be no confidence in whatever they say.
Sure,
the message will not be received.
They're on shaky ground as it is.
Yeah.
The old royals.
I heard a lot. Some people love it because all the royals, the people that love the people that love the royals are fully into it now. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone the other night, and she's not conspiratorially minded at all, and she is so deep into. She's getting her friend to read the Spanish news because they can report on it, where there's rules about the English news that don't report on certain things.
They don't report on it. Yep.
So they're getting their friend who reads Spanish to read them articles about what's going on.
Yeah,
and she made some points. I don't know if any of this is true, any of it.
Sure.
I didn't even understand a lot of it because she started referring to her as Catherine. I was like, whoa, who is Catherine? And she was
That's
like,
her name,
Kate.
right?
Yeah, I was like, she was referring to her as Kate in one sense, then Catherine in another. I was like, who the fuck's
interchangeably.
Catherine?
Right.
She made the point that there's this seal that Kate and William have on their letterhead, and it's a C and a W intertwined. And she said,
"That's really lovely." Yeah, go on.
She said, "Oh, a K and a W. Sorry, or maybe it's a C for Catherine. I don't know.
It's a C.
And she reckons that in the last few months that he's just been signing off on letterhead with a W. That they don't use that anymore, which I thought was just because what people do is they start connecting the dots even if the dots can't be connected. So she's got all these things. She doesn't know what the position is, but she's got a raft of these arguments which are fascinating.
So she is of the opinion that William, who is now a widow, is going around being very secretive about everything, except he has sort of dropped some hints in the letterhead.
No, but I think exactly. That's a good point. You're like, just, what you want to do is proceed like nothing is wrong. She thinks that they might be that there's some potential. She even said there was a potential illegitimate child. She went with the illegitimate bloodline. She said that there's some Rose or something. There's I don't know who she is.
Oh, I remember. I heard about this ages ago. Isn't she a friend of someone's?
Yeah, she thinks there might be something going on with William.
Okay.
Rose and William.
Yes, and that wouldn't be completely unheard of for a king or a prince or whatever to have a wife, and it seems to be any upper echelon thing, you just get concubines and it's totally fine. Meaning, if you're the head of the mafia in Sopranos, let's say, it's pretty well understood that all the wives know that they have their gumar and that they go see them whenever they want. It's kind of a known thing. And I've watched enough Game of Thrones, based on a true story, other medieval theme shit, where it's kings and queens running around. They're all banging people. It's all cool. It's all cool for them. They don't mind. And they talk about this is your duty. Your duty is to make babies with this one, but you can do whatever the fuck you want because no one's going to stop you. So do whatever you want. I think that was pretty much the rules for ages and ages and ages.
The unwritten rules.
Probably
She
were
reckons
rules.
Rose
Go on.
has 2 kids that look a lot like William.
Oh, fuck. I mean, she'd know more than me, but fuck, I have no idea.
And this is, again, I have not fact-checked this.
Well, how could you? How could you?
I don't even know. I don't know who Rose is. She reckons there's a lot of options. They're not, then they're some of them are mutually exclusive in that if one is true, then the other is not true and whatnot. But she thinks that William may want a divorce from Kate.
Right. And he thinks it's probably
to get
better
the
to do it before
divorce. This is quite ironic here because apparently you can't do it when you're king, which is I thought the whole reason why the Church of England came about. She said that you have to that when you're king you can't do it, and she says but you can do it before you're king if you have the blessing of the king,
monarch, right?
The monarch. So apparently Queen Elizabeth was not prepared to give the blessing
to
William.
Oh, no blessings.
No blessings allowed. She was like, you're stuck. And they need to sort this out whilst Charles is alive. And apparently she reckons his health concern may be more serious than has been let on. There's a big announcement coming next Saturday or something about it, she was telling me.
Okay.
And they need to finalise all this before he dies. Otherwise, they're stuck. That's one of her
That makes no
options.
fucking sense, doesn't it?
Well, that's what I said. I thought the whole
Marry
Church
for
of
love,
England
son.
was
Marry for love. Marry for love, son.
Who was the king that changed the whole
Henry VIII?
Yeah, because he wanted to divorce his wife, right?
Yeah, and have 7 of them or something.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of them and killed a bunch of them.
And it would be ironic for Charles not to give the blessing to William that he can divorce his wife because...
But they're doing happy family photos with William as the photographer.
Of course they are.
It's all
They're
optics.
All there.
It's all optics. Yeah.
It seems a bit disingenuous, that's all. So what have you heard? Have you talked to anyone that cares about the royals?
No. And I wouldn't even know where to go to get that information, right? I can do a Google search. I can type in.
Yeah, I thought about getting her on the podcast.
Who? Prince William?
No, this girl that I was talking to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, if she wants to come on and give us the goss, that'd be sweet.
It's O'Beary's girlfriend.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like, man, this is even one of my mates was like, hey, bro, it's like, you want to talk about this on the podcast? I was like, I don't know where to start on this. I was like, but I want her on. She got first guest. She was great. She knows so much about it.
Yeah, and look, it's great. I'm quite happy with delving into it a bit. I did type in Rose Prince William, and you do get a pretty scandalous article or two that says, who is Rose Hambury and why can't Kate Middleton escape her? Whoa, right?
Yeah, what do you got there? Let's just get to the bottom of it right now.
It's nothing. There's no evidence. It's just a tweet.
Apparently those kids of Rose are really, she reckons they're virtually scrubbed from the internet. They were her words. I don't know how that's possible.
This Rose lady has kids.
Can you do a quick genetic test on that?
I've got a Wikipedia page that was edited an hour ago. That could be fun.
Who can edit a Wikipedia page?
Pretty much anybody. Anybody who's logged in.
Some of them are locked down, right?
Some of them are more heavily, looked at than others. In fact, this article is semi-protected until March 20th, 2024 to promote compliance with the policy on biographies of living persons. So it is locked. Okay, this is just a little test I'm going to do. I'm going to think of somebody who's alive today and look up their Wikipedia page.
Let's see if you can just add to it.
No, I'm going to see if it's locked as well because something is it obviously gets a...
Who is this living person that you checked out?
Bill Cosby, and it is locked.
What about someone like less, just like Ben
less
Cousins
controversial?
Or something? Yeah.
Okay. When I went to Princess Diana's, this article is semi-protected due to vandalism, and then next to it, it says green. This is a good article. Check for good information, and then it tells you about I don't know.
I don't trust that.
I don't trust anything. But what you can do is use this thing called the Wayback Machine. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
All right. Let's go on an adventure. I'll stream it for you. So we're going on a quick time machine adventure, and I don't know what's going to come of this. could be nothing, right? But we're going to do it anyway. I'm sharing it on Discord. Okay, so we're going to go to the Wayback Machine first.
Okay.
It's an internet archive. You type in a website like this one that I'm about to copy in that you can see, and it'll tell you all of the edits and alterations that have happened to that Wikipedia.
Really? Does it track them?
Yeah.
That's cool, because I know of one Wikipedia that's been changed since I've seen it before, and I was really funny about it.
Yeah.
And I want to know if I'm just insane or if it got changed, because there was some very controversial thing on there, and I was telling people, I was like, yeah, man, you can check it out. It's on Wikipedia. And then one day I checked it myself, and I was like, it's not there anymore.
It gets edited all the time. They always do that.
It was controversial. It was about the trillions of dollars that went missing when the World Trade Centers went down.
Yeah, the day after. Or the day before.
Yeah, well, the day before. Remember how that Donald Rumsfeld had that?
Yeah, Rumsfeld came out and said,
shit.
We can't find $1 trillion.
Yeah, because we don't know, we can't account for trillions of dollars in the budget. And then the very building that was housing that information went down in the World Trade Center. You know, 3 towers went down, 2 big towers and 1 small tower.
Yes,
Building 7 had all the accounting information about that. And so I was like, it's an interesting thing that, they said they lost trillions of dollars, couldn't account for it. And whoops. And then the very building that was housing the information just goes down. So just saying, it's just a little bit unusual.
I think all that I heard there was that it was a field office. A field office for CIA, FBI, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it was or was not in there. But the thing about Donald Rumsfeld's press conference is gone from the Wikipedia about the Twin Towers.
You can still find it.
You can still find it somewhere.
If you typed in Donald Rumsfeld $1 trillion, it'll probably come up. Anyway, that Wayback Machine totally didn't work for that particular Wikipedia page on Rose that I wanted to look at to see any alterations. Didn't work at all. So that probably tells us. The problem with that is that conspiratorial-minded people will go, well, if I can't see the history, you're scrubbing it or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
So like you can't win. You can't win with people like that. And I say people like that because I'm trying to etch my way away from that sort of level of thinking. I'm trying to be a bit more analytical about saying I want to know the evidence of something.
Yes.
Like I always did. It's not like I was going, just tell me something to believe in. I was always trying to follow trails. But the crazy thing about how that works is, just like you were saying before about making connections that aren't there, you can Wikipedia yourself into a conspiracy trap where you then have things that are being confirmed to you to support your overall theory. It all starts to link together and you go, oh no, it's all connected. And then you're fucked. Mm-hmm. Once you think it's all connected, you're absolutely boned. You can't look at life any other way.
It's all neatly packaged up and connected in your mind.
Yeah. Having said that, I am a determinist. So I do believe I'm on a path here and there's no real choice to be had. It's all atoms hitting atoms.
I totally agree with the atoms hitting atoms and the deterministic theory, but I also subscribe to the multiverse. So every possible thing that can happen is also happening. So it's all deterministic, but it's all happening.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. We're all on our own thing.
With that, sure. The quantum wave state is completely like the way quantum mechanics works is it's unpredictable. So that, where you say everything's deterministic and things hitting atoms, apparently with as far as quantum mechanics are concerned,
I don't know. Especially if you're talking about humans prodding an electron, right? Do you know what I mean? Like getting that quantumly entangled electron idea where you can flip one and they flip, the other one flips. If we're doing the flipping, it completely it still could be deterministic, but it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I mean, it's either that or you imagine that you're constantly on this infinitely branching thing that's like, do I stand up or do I remain seated for another second and a half and live in that world where I sat down for an extra second and a half? Every day, make a choice. Make a conscious choice to go fuck the system a little bit. Just flap your little butterfly wings, if you like. Let's get that tornado going. And it could be as simple as, I'm going to stand up now. No, I won't. I'll remain seated for another 8 seconds. And those 8 seconds that would have been doing other things that you knew you were going to do because you're like, I'm ready to stand up. But the deterministic side of my brain would just say, you were always going to wait 8 seconds. You were always going to have that moment where you think this is the time where I make the decision, and it was always going to go down that way. But this is the best we've got. This is the best we've got. If you have an instinct to do something, just give it a sec. And we might be on a different journey. We don't know.
The only thing I like about the idea that it's infinitely branching and every possible scenario is going to happen from this point forward. Like I've chosen this path, but it's all branch. The only thing I like about that is when people say anything's possible within the framework of physics.
Sure.
When they say anything's possible, like me being the president of the United States, I mean, that's not within the framework of the legal regime at the moment. But right. That can change as well in some dimension or in some branch of this reality. It could be
the branch where you stay seated on the couch for 8 seconds longer. That could be the president branch. We don't know.
It could have been, yeah. And you could be the president either way. There could be a branch where you stay on the couch 8 seconds longer and you become the president, or you get off the couch straight away and become the president.
No, it is fun. I agree with you. But it's it's completely reductive in that, like, what every day for me, right? If we're on the branches and they're infinitely going in front of me like a sprawling thing, I'm on the most boring one yet. You know what I mean? Like, all the other guys are doing cool shit, right? They're going like but every day you don't make that choice where it's like, do the cool thing. Someone else who is you did it.
Maybe you need to flap your butterfly wings.
I'm flapping them
every day, a little bit towards the alternative or some other thing you want to do.
See, I'm just of the opinion that the butterfly always flapped, and it was never going to do anything else. See, determinism works when you scale it down. My dad loves this joke about the fly. You know, have you seen Reg? Yeah, I saw him yesterday. He'll probably be dead tomorrow. You know, because they only live for a few days. The concept being is that it's just like, you're just like, oh, geez, bloody hell, you're already 1 day old. You know, oh, you'll be dead in a couple of days. It's way easier to enforce that deterministic sort of viewpoint on the fly because you've got way less time to deal with, less choices, decisions. It's all cut down to 3 days.
But they move really fast, so they're just making their decisions a lot faster.
They are living very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, live fast, die young, for sure.
It probably feels incredibly long for them, their life.
Yeah, probably on day 2, you're probably done.
They're 2 hours in, they're like, I have been living forever.
Yeah, and your back's sore after like 8 hours. You start going through your full life cycle.
Did you see Putin's won another election, a 5th term?
Yeah, so did pretty well on the polls. Yeah, landslide, they're saying.
I'm led to believe.
Yep.
Navalny's been a bit quiet.
Yeah, it was a relatively easy election to win when all of your political opponents are actually dissidents and you're allowed to arrest or murder them. So it is a little bit easier to win in that political environment for Poots.
It's a one-horse race.
Sure. Yeah, there was no legit opposition, I don't think. I think there were other people running, but I don't think there was any legit.
He allowed them to run. Anyone he didn't want to run was not running.
It's so sick.
Yeah, between Navalny and Kate, I think they may be one and the same person. I'm going to be honest.
Right.
I think
Kate went to the gulags.
Mm-hmm.
For being a dissident in Russia. It's classic.
I mean, it makes sense. The timing probably lines up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's all you need. You just need one little element.
Yeah. We haven't seen either of them. Navalny could be in the royal family.
Yeah, obviously. But we don't actually know how he died yet properly, right? He got poisoned, right? But we don't know who did it. I mean, there's a couple of obvious contenders. There's a couple of obvious culprits.
Navalny.
Yeah.
The beacon of democracy in Russia.
Mm. There's a couple of people who would want him gone.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, it's we still don't know. I doubt we'll ever know.
Yeah, because
But the longer that we don't know, the more we kind of know.
Quite upset. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Did you see?
Yeah, no, they did prove that it's poison. Yeah, go on.
Did they prove it was poison? Really?
I think so.
Okay.
Again, that doesn't prove anything. It's just the method. It's just the method.
Yeah. It could
anyway. It's crazy. It's really hard. I don't really know the answers. Obviously.
No, it goes to that saying, you can say whatever you want, and that's assumed.
Someone's like, I was tuning into the vacuous perspective, and they had a pretty interesting take, and they'd be like,
Did you tune into the third test flight for SpaceX?
I did see the replay.
Starship.
I didn't watch it live this time. I like to watch them live because I like to see the crowd get into it and get very into it. But this time I just saw the highlights. It's kind of like sport now for me. Sometimes I'll watch the highlights. Sometimes I'll watch the game. This was a highlights one for me. And it looked like everything went really well.
Pretty well.
Chuck them up. Well. Let's get them up there already then. Chuck them in. What do we got? A problem with the suits still? Are we still unable to get the fabric together?
We can't build the suits out.
I can't build the suits.
We've sorted out the heat shields, the rockets. Yeah,
transport's sorted. We just don't have the garments. We don't have the getup. Yeah?
It looked pretty impressive because the body of the rocket with the booster on is about 122 meters.
Yeah.
And then the jet stream coming off that thing must have been 200 plus meters.
Yeah.
Yeah, just based on, the visual I was getting.
Is that after staging or pre-staging?
Pre-staging.
So
the 33 Raptor engines.
Big rocket. Yeah, right.
Yeah, the big rocket.
And it did something when it was up in space. It did a little maneuver thing, and everyone got pretty excited about that.
Well, it tried to re-enter. It got to orbital velocity, but they just wanted to do a re-entry. So I think it was only up for 45 minutes, and then they wanted to test. I think they were
up around 117, 120 kilometers up.
Yes. And the booster unit, super heavy. Yeah, it was orientated correctly. It came down like it was orientated.
It was just coming down hot. It was coming down way too hot.
Way too hot. Yeah, I don't think the boosters reignited because I was watching in bed with the wife, and she wasn't really paying attention, but like every now and then I'd chime in, and I was like, yeah, check this out, like because I thought it might be going in for a proper. I didn't know if they were trying to attempt a proper landing or not, or if they were just gonna. No, but were they?
They're not in the business of blowing up rockets anymore. They're really not.
No, but maybe they just go, we're going to simulate like it's going to land, but when we have no degree of confidence and we don't want to take out some, offshore rig that we're going to land on, that we're just going to sort of pretend we're landing it on a rig and just kind of let it. I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't sort of pay it. Anyway,
I heard on the vacuous perspective.
It came in so hot. I was just like, I don't think this is right because it's speed. And I saw one fluttering engine on the diagram. They show which of the engines are lit up, and I was like, that doesn't look right.
I was watching some guys who do a commentary of it, NASA Spaceflight. You might have been watching their stream. I was watching their stream, and they just started watching it come in, and they're like, oh no, this is coming a bit hot. But they don't care. Like, there's so much margin for failure in rocketry where they go, they'll say something like, the whole thing blew up. But before that, it did a little thing. And we loved that. That was wicked.
We opened the door. I think that was one of their missions was like, we want to open the hatch. Fucking open the hatch.
They got the door open. What? Come, quick, the door's opening.
And then it started doing. Did you see the re-entry video?
Yeah,
they kept the videos on the Starship. That's the biggest spaceship we've ever had in orbit. Technically, it wasn't in orbit.
It wasn't in orbit.
Yeah, but I mean, it could have been in orbit. We could have put it in orbit if we wanted, and it had orbital.
They had
velocity.
Enough fuel for that.
Had orbital velocity. Yeah, so it was going 27.
When you do a practice flight with these, obviously the booster and the thing on top can get to the moon, right? It would use a slingshot and whatnot. This is the spaceship we're using to get to the moon, right? When you fill it up for a test flight, are you filling it up for a test to say, no, this is a moon fucking spaceship test? So we put the fuel in like we're going to the moon. Is this thing full of fuel when it comes back down, re-enter, right? Or are they going, we only need this much to get 120 Ks up. We don't need to fucking drop more. We don't overfill this bad boy. They'd surely be testing it to the spec of the mission that they're training it for, right?
I know. You wouldn't think that you'd do all your testing at 80% full and then you'd go, big day. Yeah. Let's go 100%. We need to get to the moon
try and orbit
this time.
This sucker. Yeah. Or just even get into an orbit.
There's a rule in running called don't do anything new on race day. And I think the same can apply to the space program. Yeah. I think the astronauts would appreciate NASA and SpaceX not doing anything new at the big dance.
Yeah, testing is testing.
Testing is
for the big day. You don't go, right, now it's the big day. Get the real suckers out.
Yeah, it was the biggest flying object ever in space.
That we know of.
I was led to believe it was the biggest. And the I don't know what it is. They call them plasma fields coming off when it was re-entering.
Yeah, what were they talking about?
I don't know.
They were getting very excited about plasma all of a sudden.
They kept mentioning it. Then they mentioned different contexts. I was like, plasma fields, there was plasma this and that. And it was going 27,000 kilometers an hour when it was coming in.
Very hot.
Well, very fast, and it looked very hot. It did look very hot.
It would be quite hot.
But
that's exciting, though. No, it looks like we're one step closer to the moon, though, aren't we? I mean, after all of our, we've been upset lately, you and me, on the show. We've been upset about the moon progress. We're sick of hearing about garments not being ready and that being a delay, like the actual rocket. Like, we made the point. They did it in the 60s on 10 years' notice. They did it from 0 to 100.
6 times in a row. It's
six times in a row. It's not hard. We've done it before.
Guys, come on.
And to say we're facing a technology shortage or a garment shortage, that should be the least of our fucking problems. We should have all the tech. I love that they binned it all.
If I'm at work,
go on.
And 2 months ago, or let's say 2 years ago, I've done a particular type of document. And we need something again, and I can't produce it. I can't figure it out. I tell the boss, he would be going, "What are you doing, mate? You're 2 years older. You've got that much more experience. You've done it before. Fucking do it." He would not accept. And this is 60 years later. I guess everyone that was working the space program is dead. But
they would show them. They'd go, right, so do you know how this works? And it'd be like a rotary phone attached to a wall with a punch card machine. And they go, I got no fucking clue how this thing works, bro. What do you want me to do with this?
It's a space shuttle with a propeller.
And they go, this is the computer that took us to the moon. And you go, the fuck is this thing? This thing, I reckon you'd take one look at that computer and its output. You'd be like, what, these punch cards? This is, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
It's just completely different.
There's people who faked the moon program who are like, can't believe we're still getting away with this. I can't believe we're still getting away with this. They literally can't go there today.
They're probably really worried. They're like, surely they're going to figure it out soon.
They'll all be dead.
I
was watching Ali G interviews and he called Buzz Aldrin right at the end of the interview. He's like, that's why you need to listen to my main man, Buzz Lightyear, because him know all the things about the moon. And when he shoots him this look when he calls him Buzz Lightyear, he's like, he was not happy about it. That's good.
Do you reckon he even knows who he is?
Who, Ali G?
Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah, because he's named after Buzz Aldrin. Of course. He's named after him. It's his namesake.
No, what do you mean he's named after him?
The other way
Buzz
around. Buzz Lightyear was likely Buzz Aldrin inspired. I'd say 100%. I'd say 100%.
I heard it on Vacuous Perspective.
Yeah, the guys on the Vacuous Perspective said that Buzz Aldrin was the Buzz Lightyear.
Hey, I saw a guy with really long curly moustache, like a waxy moustache. You know, have those Italian ones where they twist them.
Yep,
and they go all curl. You curl them up like this.
Put some like gel in it or some shit. It's almost like it's wax.
Well, my Uber driver,
wax.
Yes, moustache wax, and my Uber driver had one of those, and I was complimenting him on it. I said, I said, can anyone do that? Can I do that? He said, yeah, just don't cut your moustache hairs. Right, just keep letting them go. Is that true? Because yes, but my eyebrow hairs.
Yes.
I rarely cut those.
Mm.
I've actually started giving them I don't trim them, but
You obviously
I've
trim your
noticed
beard,
a couple
though.
of them. Yeah, I trim the beard, but I mean,
Yeah, but you trim the beard
hairs,
regularly, right?
Yes. No, of course. I'm not saying, but if I'm just thinking, I've got these wispy hairs on my cheeks, like here, that I shave. If I just let that grow, could I grow a ponytail, a wispy ponytail?
You could.
You're kidding me.
But no, but you don't want to leave it up to one hair on either side of your face. You don't want to have it all resting on
The
one
pressure.
hair on the pressure.
Could get
it's too
caught
much.
up. Yeah,
it's too much.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to lose. I mean, I lose about 10,000 hairs a minute. On the back of my head. I lose hair all the time.
Your whole hairstyle could just fall out. Yeah.
Don't know about the beard, but or whatever this is that I've got. But no, if you look sideways, if you look at my profile,
yeah,
I can get some gnarly twisties going on if I wanted to.
Get some moustache wax on that.
Yeah, but I don't want to. But I'm glad you had
some people do have long eyebrow hairs, don't they? Actually, now I think about it, is that a thing? Like I could see like maybe a wise Japanese man with like long, wispy.
Yeah, I've seen it in Kill
hairs.
Bill. I think Kill Bill had a bloke with particularly wispy eyebrows, and maybe that's an avenue for you. Maybe instead of doing the mustache wax pointy thing with your moustache, why not do it with your eyebrows? Get them growing a bit, and then
I need a new look. Actually, I do need a new look.
Do you reckon? Yeah.
Yeah, this look's been a bit the same my whole life, actually.
No, because you got a bit of facial hair.
Yeah, not much. But that's nothing. I've probably had this for a good 5 years or so.
But this is completely fine in your workplace. They love it.
Yeah, I get away with it. But it's just there is an alternate reality, is what I'm saying, where I have wispy eyebrows and ponytails coming out of my cheeks.
My answer is much more boring. My answer is.
You're doing it.
You're
living the curly hair life.
What I'm saying, I'm not answering for myself. I'm answering for all of humanity. You're always going to have non-wispy eyebrows, my friend. You're on a path. There could be multiple dimensions all around, but it's not the one we're on. We're on this really weird one at this point in time. Very strange one. It's always been strange to experience life, but this is a particularly strange time. It's a good time to be alive, though, isn't it? Do you agree with that?
We're 10 years away from being completely solar powered, and 5 years away from living forever. So I reckon it's pretty good.
Those are bold predictions.
Huge.
And
I haven't even finished it. I'm only halfway through the podcast. Imagine what other predictions he has.
Have you got other futurist predictions from that bloke? Because that was quite interesting. And I can't believe he's got live forever in the title. I can't believe we're living forever. That's wild.
Yeah. Let me just grab. I know this is let me grab
go
the
do
book.
it.
Give me
grab
10
the book.
seconds.
Yeah, grab the book. If you want to get in touch with the show anytime, you can email the show. It's vacuousperspective@mail.com. And you can just send through whatever the fuck you want. No one gives a shit. And with that, we're back. Okay, so what's this book?
It's called History's Worst Predictions.
Great. What happened? Did you slip over or something? Did you have a stack?
What?
Did you just have a stack then? You said you made me what?
I don't know. No.
You were saying the words "you made me," but then you didn't finish the sentence, and I was wondering if you'd fallen over while you were trying to run back. You're okay.
No. I'm fine. I'm so confused. Totally no. I'm totally fine. Oh, I made you talk to yourself for 15 seconds.
Well, you're going to love what I came up with. You're going to love it. It's fine. What's the book? History's Worst Predictions.
Yeah, but I don't have any particular prediction that I'm,
so we're just surfing.
Of. Yeah, I was just going to surf it and just go just pick one, Do you just want to, give me a page number?
Is there a year on any of these predictions? I want ones that they've made about today.
Oh, no. There's,
they're not filtered by a year.
No, well, I've got here one from Nazi. From Nazi? Adolf Hitler.
Okay.
I mean, he was the Nazi.
The Nazi himself.
Okay, so the culprit. So each one of these has a main culprit. It's Adolf. What was predicted? The establishment of a 1,000-year Reich.
Wow.
What actually happened?
Yeah.
The Third Reich lasted 12 years.
Yeah.
Good effort.
So this is a comedy book.
No, then it goes into detail, like pages about what actually happened. You know, it's interesting to see because we make predictions, and I think we could make the book if we, you know, that we've made some pretty wild predictions. The trick is to make them so far in advance that you can't be proven wrong.
That does help a lot, doesn't it? Like I could say, we'll be, you know, surfing the gas giant Jupiter by 2150. Easy. Done. Next.
I was thinking, you know, pick 3,000 and something.
Oh, geez. Then
what do you reckon we're doing in 3,000 AD?
What? What that's 1,000 years from now.
Yeah. What's going on then?
Holy shit. We're probably quiet. Like, there's no futurists looking that far, are they? They're not bothering with that, are they?
Yeah, no one's thinking about
So
that.
this is an untapped market.
Because...
Are we spacefaring? Are we out there in the cosmos?
Are we spacefaring in 1,000 years? I'd fucking hope so. Or we won't be, but whatever we create,
what do you mean not us? We're going to live
intelligence-
forever in 5 years, so we'll be there, you idiots. We'll be there.
We'll be there. The problem is we will have the potential to live forever, but we can still get hit by a bus and killed.
Ah, bummer.
Unless we
Energy
do
shields
the
from June
copy-paste
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, the main culprit, Daryl Zanuck.
Yeah.
He predicted that television would not last. What actually happened? Big Brother, Oprah, lost.
So when did he make that prediction? What year was that prediction made? Because that's pretty
1946.
important.
He said television won't be able to hold on to any market it captures after the first 6 months. People soon get tired of staring at a plywood box every night.
Wrong. People spend their whole entire days staring at a screen. That's great. I love that there's people making bad predictions.
The main culprit, Alexander Lewitt.
Yeah, give us the year.
1955.
Yeah.
This is a quote, nuclear-powered vacuum cleaners will probably be a reality in 10 years.
Wow.
In 1955.
Well, I'm sure that the military has industrial, I'm sure that they've developed, vacuum cleaners with tiny modular nuclear reactors in them. I'm sure they've done that.
I'm sure they've done it. I'm sure the partners of those in the military are probably cruising around the house with nuclear powered vacuum cleaners.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got what actually happened while mobile nuclear reactors were designed and tested by the US and USSR during the 1950s and 60s. These were only for military use. So if the battlefield gets really dirty, they might whip out the nuclear-powered vacuum cleaner to clean up. So
they've popped nuclear reactors in battleships and stuff, similar like aircraft carriers. They drop nuclear reactors into submarines, don't they? And I'm just surprised they haven't dumped them into the soldiers yet. Like a little nuclear reactor. What does that do for a person? Let's go.
You think it would give them some energy, like maybe a really strong V? It'd be like having a big Red Bull.
Or we could be looking at a Marvel Cinematic Universe sort of outcome.
Oh, yeah, like an Iron Man type situation.
Incredible Hulk. Yeah, that sort of jam. We don't know, again. But super serum, they've got to be working on that. Someone's got to be working on that.
I'll give you one more. So the main culprits are Nikita Khrushchev and JFK, and they predicted the destruction of the planet in a nuclear conflict.
Wow.
This is actually, back in 1940, what was it, 4, when we dropped 2 nuclear bombs in 1 week. If you asked anyone in the world at that point in time,
how we're going,
what is the chance that we will not use another nuclear bomb in the next 80 years? They'd say there's zero probability. Zero probability. And we did it. We've done it.
Yeah, we're still holding strong.
That's a good prediction. That is a good prediction by JFK.
Oh, 100%.
And you've seen Dr. Strangelove.
It still could be an eventuality. Yeah, it still could happen. Absolutely.
Could. Yeah, it certainly
the guy, Eric Weinstein, was talking to, I think it was Piers Morgan, and he said that people who are afraid of the AI taking over is that people who think that the AI threat or potential AI threat is bigger than the nuclear threat. He's like, maybe in the long term, yeah, but right now it's fucking not even close. Like, it's literally just regurgitating the internet back at you and making nice pictures and videos. It's not got the capabilities to destroy us yet. Nukes do. They've got them right now. We've got thousands of the suckers. You know, we do have the means already.
If I put on my Ray Kurzweil hat.
What's that? Is that your futurist hat?
Yeah, and also the hat that everything doubles, progressing at exponential rate technology. We are going to, I know they're just language models that we use, ChatGPT, just like language models. They are going to be getting better. Imagine, apparently ChatGPT 5 is a ginormous improvement on ChatGPT 4.
I believe that, but it's still relying on us a lot.
But also, I think we're not taking into account the exponential progression of these things.
Sure.
Let's say, who knows when? If one country, I agree, it's not a threat right now, but it might be a threat sooner than we think it is because of the exponential.
Sure. There is a point of no return where you cross it, you're boned, basically.
And what happens if one country, let's say China, develops artificial general intelligence, and now you can use that to stop other countries from gaining the same thing because you know how to attack them in a way. You can fuck with their internet, fuck with their.
I don't know the lengths at which this general intelligence would be able to do. I don't know what it does.
What happens if it could implant code into the other countries trying to develop this thing, and so there's only one country that is ever going to have it, for at least maybe they could delay the other countries. This is why I think I was saying the other day.
Well, that might be for the betterment of everybody, because if we have multiple, we might start having problems if we have 8 of them.
But the good thing about, I said it was unusual that the US didn't take advantage of the fact that it had nuclear bombs for a period of time and no one else did.
Yeah, we did talk about that. Yep.
Now, the good thing about other nations developing nuclear bombs is the threat of mutually assured destruction stops people from using them.
Correct.
If only one country has a artificial general intelligence,
they've got the nukes.
They've got the nukes, and if they can actually stop the other countries from having the nukes, potentially.
Well, that's what they would try to do, 100%. Just like when the Americans were developing the nuke, they were obviously doing their best to not let Russia's program advance any faster than theirs. They would have been employing all sorts of tactics to make sure that slow their program.
They could have nuked Russia before they had nukes. If they didn't comply, they could have said, hey, do complete disarmament. We want complete transparency as to what you're doing. If we get any hint of you're trying to develop nukes, we're going to nuke you.
And it's not like after World War II, they said, let's sit down and have a nuking, like a UN nuking area where the countries get together and try and figure out if they should nuke somebody, and it has to go through a sort of UN sort of system where it's like, look, if you want to nuke them, you got to go through the proper channels now, which is us. They didn't do that at all. They didn't set up a council where it's like, if you want to nuke someone, come see us. They said, let's fucking rein this shit in, okay? And let's start signing nuclear proliferation deals so that we can
anti-proliferation.
Yes,
Wait,
sorry.
Yeah,
non-proliferation.
Non-proliferation,
yeah. So, not, obviously everyone was proliferating
earlier. Everyone's like, let's proliferate this.
Back then.
Yeah.
But all in all, it is quite amazing that we're still around.
It is for now. Like you say, that's also another way of making a good prediction. You make one that's open-ended. So eventually it's going to happen. So we can say eventually the universe is going to
suffer a cold death.
And
that is
fact.
As far as our current understanding of the universe goes.
Eventually. So even if it's suffering a hot death, even if it's a hot death though, there's still a chance that it might change its mind.
Yeah.
And flip to a cold death later on. Who knows?
Yeah. Or just do a prediction that they could never prove.
Hey,
so you'd say when you die, you'll have red underpants on, and they'll be like, well, how will I know? Well, you won't. So it's irrelevant.
What are you going to do with now that we know we're going to live forever?
Yep.
What are you going to do with all your time? Like, does this change anything?
Forever.
Does this change anything?
It would. It would change quite a bit, wouldn't it? I would, this is a funny one, all right? Because you said earlier that there were people who were gearing up for this 5-year thing by staying healthy now so that they can maintain that level of health.
So they don't die. So they don't die before this line in the sand where we're getting refunded a year for every year we live.
Sure. If the idea is that, imagine if instead of you get the year, you put in a year, you get a year back. It was like, no, you have to be healthy. Like that is the main thing. You still have to be super healthy. You got to eat the right things. You got to exercise. You got to make sure you're doing this, that, and the other. A lot of people are dying. A lot of people are going to die, bro. A lot of people are going to say, fuck that. I ain't doing that. I'm going to die. And there's some people who would say, I don't want to live forever, who live healthy lives. So they're like, bro, you need to get on the KFC. Otherwise, you're just going to keep living. If you keep doing what you're doing, like, you're sitting your friend down, you're like, we understand, like, you don't want to live forever. And that's okay. And she's like, yeah, I really don't want to live forever. Yes, you have to stop eating right. You have to stop. You got to stop exercising. You got to cut it all out.
To go to heaven, you have to die. You need to be unhealthy.
You need to be unhealthy. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going. This is a real problem, all right? People out there are living healthier than ever. It's a fucking disgrace.
And they're stuck in a healthy reality forever.
Yeah, forever. That'd be great. Something to think about.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about it. I'm living forever. I'm married. So this is not, we are not designed to live in eternity together. I know that's what I signed up for, but we didn't know there was a possibility either.
Yeah, no, you're in. But you're in. You made a commitment.
I reckon they might change the
vows?
The vows, just be like, I'll do it for a couple of centuries.
Yeah.
And then we'll reconsider. It's like, it's
again,
a market
I always bring it up,
clause.
but it's the till death do us part. Larry David has that argument with his wife because she's of the opinion that they're still together in heaven. And he's like, no, death till us part. We're done after that. She wants to renew their vows for eternity and all time. What did you put on your one?
Well, I did my own.
Was it till forever?
I didn't.
What did you say?
I didn't say those words.
Did you mention any time frames?
I didn't actually. I don't think I did.
That's not the legally binding part of the document, though, is it? They don't have.
Yeah, I didn't stipulate a term. It's an essential. Clause. I mean, my contract's vague for uncertainty. The more I think about it, if you don't stipulate a term, you don't have an agreement.
That's why they say till death do us part, forever and ever, all that sort of stuff, eternity.
Oh, and you know what? I think I've dodged a bullet actually, because after 1 year of being married, there's a thing called an eternity ring that some people get, where you give your partner another ring. Another ring.
Just get the eternity going.
Yeah, and it's called an eternity ring. And I was like, to give someone when I found out about this, I was like, it's been a year. It's been a year. That's not eternity. Like I would get it.
You know when I would get the eternity ring? When sadly we're at the end of the journey, because the best case scenario, Louis C.K. talks about the best case scenarios, you meet the person of your dreams, you fall in love, you get married, you have a life, and then one of you dies. Like that's best case scenario. That isn't even worst case scenario. That's best case scenario is one of you has to watch the other person die. Best case.
I know.
That's the time for the eternity ring. That's when you pop that bad boy on and you go,
that's when you go,
I'll be there.
That's when you
forever,
make the commitment.
In perpetuity.
Yeah.
Forget about the rest. I'm going to be celibate until I die and then see you on the other side. I'll catch you later.
I wonder how many people actually do it, because you get to that moment and then you'd be like, oh, but they won't even know. They won't even know. They're like, they can't see me right now.
No, it's got to be when they're conscious and stuff, and you go, "Hey, here's the eternity ring. It goes over your other one. Boom, you got it." But until then, I think it's fair to reserve that eternity ring I think for more than a year. I think you're going to live. I think you're going to live for more than a year.
100%. I think
What do you get after that?
I think the
What do you get
jewelry
at the- what do
industry
you get
has
at-
something to do with this.
What do you get at the 2-year mark? Like, is there something above eternity that you can give? I mean, I know that in the Sea Org you can sign like 100,000-year contracts or something. Are they millions
They really
of years?
missed an opportunity because that
The
100,000
eternity
years.
contract,
Now that we're
yeah.
living forever, the Sea
Oh,
Org's really going to their
that's a blink
membership
of an
is going
eye.
to plummet.
Yeah.
They're going to realize they're going to be at a certain point. They're going to be like, "Fuck, there's this window in 999."
They never planned on serving for 100,000 years. They've completely fucked this. So if you're in the Sea Org and you're listening and you've signed your 10,000-year contract, your 100,000-year contract, get out now, because we're going to start living forever. You're going to have to actually do that shit forever. So just be on the lookout for that.
Oh, not until the end of the term. So they'll live forever. Then they'll have to see out the term. I mean, it's a legally binding document. This is awkward because people do sign it, and it might say 100,000 years, but they know they're going only to live 100 years.
I think there'll be a landmark decision when people are living forever that they're like, look, this contract is it has to be thrown out. It has to be this 10,000
they would say
year thing.
that it's not realistic that this person was actually agreeing to this. That what they're only agreeing to is a lifetime. We're going to give you 100 years.
No, you can't just slave people up. If they want out, surely they can get out. Unless it is like completely legally binding. You go there and you'd be like, hey, it's time to leave. And they're like, I actually can't. I'm a slave now. There
should be an authority that actually oversees this, because in property, for example, if you lease half a lot to somebody, so if it's a let's just say it's a vacant lot, and you lease half of that for more than 20 years, it's actually invalid unless you have Western Australian Planning Commission approval, because they deem it to be effectively subdividing the land, but you never got subdivision approval. Because if you do a long-term lease, so say you got 2 hectares of land at the back, and you want to sell someone 1 hectare, you don't want to go through the whole subdivision process. You just lease it to them for 1,000 years. It's as good as selling them the land, but you just never. So anyway, a lease. So what I'm saying is that no one's looking at these long-term leases of life of $100,000. They should need at least the approval of someone like Bill Gates or someone of authority that can make
Bill Gates
decisions.
Authority?
Yeah.
I don't know what he's authorizing.
I was just thinking of some potentially, corrupt, potentially sinister individual that the internet seems to have a problem with. And he's the one that needs to provide approval for something as evil as this.
100,000-year contract.
Yeah.
Look, we need someone. I would suggest a judge, maybe. I can't believe I'm the voice of reason on this, but some sort of Supreme Court judge, maybe, to have a look at these contracts.
They can't be trusted.
No, you're right.
Because they're at the mercy of this. See, Bill Gates is probably the most likely one.
What about the guys who are on the bench? What about the bros that are on the bench? They're going to live forever. You'll never have a turning of the Supreme Court. The judges will never die.
They still have a rule that you get 75. No. Oh, wait.
They all rewrite that shit.
Because in Australia, you can't serve up to 75.
I don't think that's the case in America. In America, they just let them go till they die.
The population is. Will you be able to? Like Mick Jagger was having kids at 70-something.
Yeah.
But when you're
I'm sure the options for life are expanded.
Yeah. Bro, we are becoming greatly the Bible, aren't we? Moses living to 800, 900. We're just repeating ourselves.
We're going back to the start. It's a fun thought experiment. Is it aliens created humans, which created aliens, which created humans again? We're in a self-fulfilling kind of spiral.
Maybe something happened that sent us back, right, to square one, and now we've lost immortality. We've lost that ability. Yeah,
and it's back.
We just have the stories.
Yeah, it is a strange point to put in the Bible that there was, by the way, when in the olden days of the Bible, people lived to their 800 and they just thought everyone was just going to be like, yeah, it's fine. Like, no one gives a shit. Like, this is when the average age would have been like, everyone died when they were 50, and you hear about Methuselah living to 800 and no one really kicked up a stink about it. No one really said, well, it's a weird thing to just chuck in there. All right. So maybe it wasn't chucked in. Maybe it happened. Who the fuck knows?
When they did the King James version of the Bible, apparently my understanding is it took about 100 years. And and I could be correct on all of this, but it was more than a lifetime. It was more than like, someone's normal lifetime being like 40 years. This is what I find weird. There was a committee of people that all agreed what the Bible is, and they were reviewing it.
And they compiled the books. Well, it's more like they compiled the books,
and eventually released the King. Maybe it wasn't 100 years. I remember thinking it was more than one person's life. So I was like, man, this is weird because you have like people handing it on to other people. Anyway, what's hilarious is that those things like people living to 800, 900 got agreed upon by all these people reviewing the document.
True.
Doesn't someone go, okay, I know that it says here, we've got some texts that say this, but should we not revise this to like a more respectable 80? Like,
you reckon there was just like a smudge marker on there that made it look like it was 850, but it was actually just 85?
Well, doesn't someone just go, can I be the voice of reason here? I don't know, because it's going to be less believable to people if we drop the 800 bomb on them.
One of the old blokes just stood up and said, people lived longer in the olden days, idiot. And then just thought that would be the end of it. And the guy, but he was pretty sheepish, the guy with the good ideas. He wasn't ready to stand up to those other guys at the council, and he just let it go through. He just went, all right, fuck yous, have your 800-year-olds.
You don't want to make it too magic or people aren't going to believe it. You want to make
a little bit of magic.
A little bit of magic. I mean, the water into wine, I'll accept that. I'm gonna accept that. But someone living to 900, I find even more difficult.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, he looked particularly old in his photographs. That is all we have time for this week. Is that right?
We're done. Put a fork in me.
Yeah. We did it. We'll be back next week. And some exciting stuff is happening.
Yeah, we'll be nervous for the nervous 90s.
Yeah.
A bit more Horatio Nelson talk, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Let's get him back.
And
we should get him on the show next week, Horatio Nelson. Yeah.
We'll
do a Horatio Nelson podcast.
An AI version of him.
Oh, that'd be great. We'll be back here, same time, same place next week. See you then.
Boy. The big eclipse is coming up soon.
Which one?
The total eclipse of my heart.
Is that the American one?
Yeah, it's in April.
Yeah, we talked about that ages ago. They were pretty butthurt about our one. They wanted to one-up us. They're doing it. Scumbags.
It's massive. It's massive. Like it's ginormous. We've talked about
a lot of the same hunters who went to the one up north here would be going to this one as well. You'd imagine.
You don't even need to be a hunter. I think it's at least 30 million people in the path of totality. Remember how they had about 1,000 people go up to Exmouth for the only part.
Sure.
For that particular, if you wanted totality, there was only one point you could get it. About 100,000 people went. There's 30 million people living in it. They don't even have to go anywhere.
Yeah, amazing.
It's huge.
But they'll get a few people as well.
Oh,
that's
millions
great.
of everyone's going to be going
there would have been a few in our total because it would have crossed over Indonesia as well, if I remember right. So it was like
it was actually a really rare eclipse, remember, because it wasn't actually it was a hybrid eclipse where in some parts of the world it was not a total and only in one part of its line could you actually experience a total. So I think it sort of fizzled off as it kept going and it wasn't a total eclipse.
No. What a bummer, but we got it. We got it good. We got it really good.